Hi, this is Trey Pastor. Welcome to my review of Stargirl Season 3, Episode 5. This episode's called, the season is Frenemies, and this episode is Chapter 5, and it's called The Thief. Okay, and of course, we know from seeing previous episode, the thief in question is, and this video you're going to have spoilers, the thief in question is Cindy. She's stolen Gambler's laptop, and when this episode opens, it opens with 5 days ago, and they show, you see Cindy outside of the gambler's little, I guess you call it, what do you call that? Like it's a little house that's gotten, mobile house that's gotten ripped to shreds, and he's lying on the floor dead, and you see Cindy with her shiv out, okay, making you, I think they try to give the impression that that she's the one that actually stabbed, because remember he had a puncture wound. They said he didn't get shot, he got a, he had a puncture wound. More like a knife, or like, as Yolanda would say, a shiv. Okay, because again, Yolanda doesn't trust Cindy at all, and she thinks maybe she's behind everything. And we see from this flashback that she was there, of course, and she actually, stole the laptop, which we know already. Okay, and then we see when she actually picks up the gun, and one of her shivs comes out on the left, and it causes her to accidentally fire the gun. And then that's when the group run up, Stargirl and Wildcat and Dr. Midnight and geez, I'm gonna say Power Man, not Power Man. Rick run up on her and see her front. When that's when she says that she didn't do it. Okay, but this episode also begins with the current day, and we see Cameron walking Courtney back to her house, and they share another romantic kiss, and you can tell Courtney is totally smitten head over heels. She walks in the house basically gliding on air, and Pat, asking her, is everything okay? And she said, yes, everything's fine. Just had a great day. And she's saying, what's for dinner? And he says, well, listen, your mother's working late, and I dropped Mike off at Jakeem, so it could be whatever you want. But she said, no. She said, I'll get something later. And later we see her sneak, when Pat goes upstairs, she sneaks down into the basement and goes into the trunk for the old JSA files and gets the ISA files for Icicle, because she wants to truly help Cameron control his powers and stuff. And so she, she sneaks the folder up into her room to, do some more research on that. And at the same time, we have Jakeem and Mike. They're, they're kind of still wanting to, make a difference and form their own kind of group and stuff. As they're sitting and, talking by their locker, they get approached by these two bullies that basically say, listen, we're here to collect for hunger, our hunger. We're hungry, and you geeks are going to give us money. And of course, Mike kind of tells Jakeem, just, take care of it. And Mike and Jakeem kind of wishes that the bullies would be nice to them. And of course, they politely ask for money this time, but still leaves them in the same predicament until Cindy comes upon them, and she basically just manhandles these two bullies and basically threatens them if they ever she ever catches him messing with freshmen again, she'll really break his arm. And you see Cindy strut off all proud of herself. And you see Mike and Jakeem are just absolutely in heaven. And they're in love. It looks like they're in love watching Cindy walk away. And that part made me crack up laughing. Okay? And then, like I said, later we see Starman. He goes with Wildcat and why can't I remember his name? Not Our Man, Jesus Christ. He walks with Our Man and Wildcat, and they actually go down to the old, JSA, not JSA, ISA headquarters. Meanwhile, while Sydney is messing with the laptop, and this time, Sydney figures after, still not being able to break through, the firewall, she takes, I guess, a device that the gambler had and uses it on the laptop, and it eventually breaks the code. And she sees all these other locations for her dad's labs and stuff. And of course, she sees that, she hears that she hears Wildcat, Starman, and Our Man coming down the steps into the tunnel. So she grabs her stuff and makes a quick exit out the other way. And they come down there and they see, that obviously somebody was down there and doing something. And we see Starman basically lose control, looking at the photograph of the old ISA members, and he basically blasts the photo with the staff, and of course, which kind of freaks out Our Man and Wildcat that he loses his temper that quick. And then later we see Starman back at the house. He's shining silver because he can't sleep, and Barbara comes upon him and asks him what he's doing up, and he's basically saying he can't sleep. And he lost his temper, and he's trying to control himself. And they have a nice little chat. And she talks about she's being nervous when she met Pat and there was Mike, but now she really feels comfortable, and Mike is her son. Okay, which kind of, and she's basically telling Sylvester, calm down. If you see a problem heading up, confront it and face it. Okay, and which I thought was nice, good advice for Sylvester. And then later we see, excuse me, we see Pat and Barbara. They're taking a rare day off, to have have a lunch date, and they're sitting there in the booth, talking, and Pat is wondering what's wrong with Courtney, why she's so distracted. And then Barbara said, it's a crush, it's a crush. She doesn't quite know that it's Cameron, but she says she can see the signs that it's correct. And then Pat goes, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. And then, of course, they get interrupted by the Crocs, which they bounce into the booth and basically say, listen, we're going to help on this case. We're going to help solve this murder of the gambler. And they tell how they investigated the people that the gambler blackmailed before. And he basically, before he died, he basically gave all the money back to all the people that he blackmailed. So he seems like he legitimately was trying to change. Okay, and then they also make them uncomfortable by the Crocs saying that all this investigating is making them kind of frisky in the bedroom, which I thought was hilarious. The looks on Barbara and Pat's face was absolutely hilarious when they brought that up. I thought that was hilarious. Okay, and then later we see in school, Courtney is in lab with Cindy, and they start talking, and she's starts basically telling her that she's trying to help Cameron and stuff, and she's thinking about maybe telling Cameron about his dad, and Cindy says, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be like us. You don't want to know the truth. Wouldn't you rather not know that your father was a dirtbag? And he said, don't do what we, you don't want to put Cameron through what we went through with, our father's, her father, the Dragon King, and Courtney's father, the bum that deserted them. You don't want Cameron to think, let him. She's basically saying, let him keep thinking that his father was a good man. Don't spoil his world by telling him what a dirtbag his father really was. Okay, which I thought was actually pretty nice advice coming from Cindy. And Courtney's thinking about it. And then later we see Mike and Jakeem approach Cindy in the hallway and say, listen, we have a preposition for you, which is obviously not the right word. It's supposed to be preposition for you. And they basically, and she said, go on. And they said, listen, why don't we know that, that Yolanda and Rick and them don't really like you being in the JSA, so why don't you just quit them and join our group? I think he called themselves the All-Stars. I think, and then Cindy just, she politely laughs, and this says, it's never going to happen, and then walks away. I thought that was absolutely great. And then, of course, you see the Jakeem, the wizard, not the wizard, the, I forgot what they call the little, the pen. He basically says, listen, what did she say? I didn't quite hear. And he said, and then Jakeem goes, maybe she didn't like the name. Maybe the name's too long. And Mike goes, no, the name is the best part. I thought they're basically comic relief, Mike and Jakeem, along with the I forgot what they call the pen, the wizard and the pen. But they're basically comic relief, and they really their moments. I really like their moments. But hopefully, I'm hoping that they do something substantial later. They're basically trying to form their own group, but basically it's not happening. Okay, and Jakeem makes me laugh because he's basically going along with Mike, whatever Mike says. But he's really not feeling it. You can tell he's just. But I love, again, I have to say it again. I love the moment when Cindy beat up the two bullies for them, and then she walked off, and they were basically, you could say they were in love that she did that for them. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Okay, and then later we see in the lunchroom, the JSA at the table. Everybody except Cindy's there, and they're talking about what they're going to do and stuff. And then, of course, Cameron walks up to the table and says, hey, what's going on? And, and Courtney, she smiles at him and stuff. And they have a little pleasant conversation. And then Rick, of course, who can't stand Cameron, says, listen, we're in the middle of a conversation, okay? Okay? Why don't you get out of here? And Courtney's telling him, don't, stop being rude, okay? And of course, then he goes off. She says, he goes off, after apologizing to Courtney, he walks off, and then of course Courtney says, "Listen, why you don't have to be a jerk to Cameron. He's a good guy." And then of course Yolanda's saying, "Listen," even Yolanda's saying, "Listen, Courtney, I don't think you should be hanging out with him." And of course Courtney blows up, and and Beth, who's trying to play peacemaker, and he's Courtney is saying, "Listen, I'm trying to help Cameron," and Beth said, "Listen, what do you want? What does he need help with?" And Courtney doesn't really want to say, but she kind of storms off and leaves everybody at the table. Okay, and then later we see Starman talking to the rest of the JSA, Our Man, Beth, and Yolanda, and Rick, and he's saying, "Listen, y'all did come down on her. She's trying to be friends with Cameron. Let her be friend. Let him be friend. Let her be friends with him. Y'all came down too hard on her." Okay, and she's saying, "Listen, everybody. He's trying to give them some wisdom." And Yolanda basically said, "Listen, I still don't trust Cindy." And he says, "Listen, well, go with that. If that's what you feel, follow her and see, if your instincts are right." And then also Rick is saying, "Listen, I'm trying to work on the hourglass. It's still not powering me up for a full hour. I only get small spurts with it." And then later, Starman goes up to him and tells him there's a little doohickey in there. I think you call it the regulator or something like that controls the hour. Basically, it's the thing that makes it you have the super strength for 1 hour. And Rick decides to take that out. Okay, which I don't think is a good idea, because Starman tells him, even warns him, that your father, he put that in there for a reason. So he said, "Be careful." Okay, but Rick doesn't, he wants the thing to work, so he takes it out and puts it on, and then you see him powering up. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to have rage outs, because I think that indicator thing was the reason you can't have that on. You got to have that in there. I think is because if you don't, it's going to probably give you like steroid rage, basically. So, and I think that's what we're going to see happen probably next episodes or next 2 episodes. Okay, until Rick puts that back in there into the hourglass. Okay, and then later we see Cindy going down to one of the Dragon King, her father's lairs, and looking around, because she's looking. We know that she's looking for a cure, basically, to what's happening to her, because she's turning scaly, and so I think a change is coming, and she's trying to prevent that. So she's looking down on the lab, and at the same time we see Yolanda in her house, dressed as Wildcat, searching around for things until she does find the laptop. Cindy has I think it was just under her bed, okay, and she finds it, and she says, "I knew it. I'm gonna kick her ass." I like the way it goes up. She said, "I'm going to kick her ass." And I can't wait for that showdown. That's gonna be because again, and remember what what Courtney told Cindy, if you do something else like that again, you're off the team. So I'm wondering if she's going to be kicked off the team, or if she'll explain to them, "Listen, you got to show them the scales that you're getting on your skin, that your skin is turning scaly, and you're trying to prevent it. You're trying to stop the change from happening." I think you should have been honest with them, at least with Courtney, at least. So at least Courtney could tell everybody else to back off. But now they found that you have the laptop. And again, I don't think she killed the gambler. I think that's just, again, they want you to think that maybe she did, but I don't think it's her. I don't think she's the one that did it, unless they are going to go, like, maybe she has. I know I read another reviewer saying that maybe she has like rage out, like Hulk outs, where she flips and turns, and then she doesn't remember attack people. And maybe, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be somebody else that's behind everything. Maybe her father, Dragon King, or maybe somebody else. Maybe Mr. Bones, but I don't think it's Mr. Bones. I think it's maybe somebody that works for Mr. Bones, but not him himself. I think he's the one that's monitoring all the monitors in Blue Valley. I think that's him monitoring, so watching everything that's going on. But I don't think he's the one that's actually physically killing people, and like kill the gambler and attack Sylvester, aka Starman. I don't think Mr. Bones is the one that's doing that. I think that's somebody else that's yet to be revealed. Okay. I don't think it's Solomon Grundy either. Okay. So, but we'll see what happens. So a lot of things happen in this episode. But again, now Yolanda, she found the laptop in Cindy's house, so she knows she was right She thinks that now she's gonna know that. And remember, she said, "I'm gonna kick her ass." So I'm wondering if she's gonna wait until probably when they have the meeting, a team meeting and stuff. And also, like I said, we have that tension between Courtney and the rest of the team because she's helping Cameron. Okay, and we have the Cameron and Cindy dynamic as well because there was a moment, I forgot to mention this, that where Cindy approached Cameron in his locker and she's basically telling him, "Remember that time you went to this, basically you went to the nut house between second and third grade, I think probably right after his mom died." And you can tell the look on Cameron's face that he wanted to, his eyes turned white, like he wanted to blast Cindy. And then later Cindy, tells Courtney that she told him, she wanted to see him turn. And she said, yeah, she pushed his buttons and his eyes did turn white, just like his creepy grandmother. Okay, but Courtney's not deterred. She wants to help him. And at the end of the episode, towards the end of the episode, you see her in his house, showing him different things, ice sculptures and stuff, places that they could visit. And he makes a little ice sculpture in his hand and gives it to her. And then you see the grandparents lurking in the background with a not too happy look on their faces. So we don't know if they're going to actually tell Cameron the actual truth eventually. I think that may happen. Or he's going to find out on his own. Okay, but which will probably be the case. Because I know Courtney likes him, but I don't think she's going to. I think he's going to find out another way, unfortunately, what happened with his father, and not by Courtney, who I think would have been better if it came from her. But it's a show. You gotta have the drama. So anyway, it was a good episode overall. So I'm looking forward to the next episode. That should be really good because I think there's going to be a big fight between JSA members. Because I think I saw a little preview a couple of weeks back before the season start, where you see I think it's Stargirl, Rick, Yolanda, and Cindy. I think they're all like fighting. And then I think you see a big shot where Courtney comes down like in the middle of them and bams the staff, throwing everybody around. So I'm definitely interested in seeing it. I'm waiting for the Mr. Bones part when that's going to come into play when that's going to be revealed. And usually, like I said, there's 2 big action sequences, usually a season, and maybe episode 6 will be that one where you see all the JSA members fight each other, which should be fairly good. And then I still want to see if Artemis is going to actually join them. We didn't see her in this last episode at all, so I definitely wonder if she's going to join. And when Mr. Bones is going to actually be revealed, and when we're going to find out who actually killed the gambler and who attacked Sylvester, aka Starman. Anyway, let me know what you think. Feel free to leave comments down below of this episode. Let me know what you think of it and what your predictions are. Also have links to my social media in the description box, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also have a link to my other channel, Love Views and Opinions. Please check that out as well. Also have a link down below to my Patreon. Again, my Patreon's only $5 a month. I have tons of content on there, tons of unedited TV show reactions. I got Disney show. I got Disney/Marvel shows. I got CW shows on there. I got The Flash, Stargirl, Superman and Lois. I got Titans, Doom Patrol. I got The Boys Season 3. I got WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, all 4 parts of Zack Snyder's Justice League. All linked to the Patreon. Check it out. Also, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when I upload new content to this channel. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.